click through. Okay. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to go into the assignments tab. Okay. And let's go open up our annotated bibliography. All right, so if you guys have noticed in our sources folder, the one that has, all the different source selections, remember that there's 2 sources per source selection. So there's 2 source 1, 2 source 2, 2 source 3, 2 sources for source 4. So you're going to end up reading 8 different articles. We are using all of those articles within this class at some point in time. And what that does is it actually saves you from doing a whole bunch of researching. Okay. Along with that, if you guys recall, I showed you on Monday that those sources already have the citations generated for you. Okay, so we tried to help you out with that a little bit. So whether you're doing APA or MLA, they're already in there. And let me just show you again, just in case you have forgotten. Sorry, I gotta wait for my screen to go. Okay. So really quickly, in your sources folder, language sources. Okay, so let's say for your first annotation, you guys were supposed to choose either what makes a word real or the way you see color. So you needed to get your citation entry, then you needed to write a summary paragraph, and you needed to write an evaluation paragraph. And that's a full annotation right there. Now, I skimmed through just the details to the assignment because we take the annotated bibliography, the full assignment, we take it piece by piece. So I think some of you may have panicked a little bit when maybe when you sat down to do the work, because if you look at it, it tells you the annotated bibliography is going to end up being 4 sources. And it will. But if you look at our course calendar, you'll see that you're just doing 1 annotation at a time instead of us assigning everything all at once. Okay. So in the end, you will end up doing 1 annotation for our source 1 selection. So you'll choose 1 here. You'll choose 1 of these and do an annotation. You'll choose 1 of these for an annotation. And you'll choose 1 of these for an annotation. So you'll have 4 annotations by the time you are done. Okay. But right now we're focusing on 1. So it's a lot less daunting that way to take it a step at a time. All right. So let me show you, a template that I have on my computer. And if you would like me to put it in the annotated bibliography folder, I'm more than happy to do it. Okay. So let me just make sure every once in a while it doesn't show you what I want it to show you. Okay. So let's say I am writing my very first annotation. Okay. I have to choose between what makes a word real and the way you see color. So let's say I decided I want to use what makes a word real. So we haven't had the opportunity to delve into all the details with like MLA formatting and APA formatting. Those are specific ways to format your paper. So today I'm just going to give you a really quick preview of MLA formatting. Okay, so this document is formatted in MLA. When I format my documents in MLA, I have to have a page number over here on the right with my last name. And the way that you do that, so I'm going to delete that altogether. The way that you do that is you open up your header. Now, for most computers, you can actually like triple click and it will just open up that header area. So I'm working on a Macintosh. If you are working on a PC, it will look different. And also if you are working with the Microsoft Online versus the desktop, it looks a little bit different, but the tools are still there. So I want to insert a page number. and I want it to be aligned to the right. And I do want it to show on the first page. I want it to show right away. So I click OK. So that gave me my page number, but MLA format says I have to have my last name in there. So I click over here by my 1. Okay, and move my cursor over. I hit the space bar because there needs to be a space, and I type in my name. Okay. And then after you do that, all you have to do is just kind of triple click away. For MLA, we have a name heading, and the name heading is the student's name, the professor's name, the class name, and then the date. And the date is in military format. So it's the day, the month, the year. All right. The only title that's needed for throughout this entire document is right here. Just simply type annotated bibliography and you're good to go. You don't have to type anything else. You could have, you could write language sources, things like that. Let me see here. A good question popped through. So, does it matter if, does the name heading, does this order matter? Yes, it does. Okay, so you really do need to have student name, professor name, class name, date. That's just the way that the Modern Language Association decided that it needs to be that way. So that is the format. Okay, so as we are learning this format, it's okay. We'll get the hang of it. Okay, so nobody panic if it didn't go specifically in that order on your paper. Okay, so I've got my paper all set up. I got my title in there. Now, remember I said I can go right to my language sources, and I did what makes a word real. So all I would have to do is highlight the citation and then copy it. For me, it's Command C. For PCs, it's Control C. And then I would go to my Word document and click in here, and Control V or Command V would paste it. Now, let me show you what happens sometimes when you do that. I'm going to erase this. Okay. Sometimes when you go to paste it in there, it doesn't keep your formatting, right? So with Word, you usually have an option. If I click down on this little drop box, I can keep the source formatting, which is what it's showing you on the page right now, or I can tell it, hey, match the destination formatting, and then it will match like my document font and spacing and everything. So I'm going to click the destination formatting. Okay, so that gives me my spacing and my font. Now with MLA, we have to have, for our citations, we have to have what is called a hanging indent. Now, for some of you, this is you're probably going, oh my gosh, I already know this, blah, 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 blah. Just bear with me, okay? Just want to make sure we're totally clear on everything. So what I would do is highlight my citation that's in there. I'm going to right click, and it gives me some options. I'm going to go for my paragraph options, okay? In my paragraph options, you'll notice right in the middle, we have some indentation features. If I go over here to Special and click down, there's a hanging option for my indentation, which is what I need for my citation. So I'm going to click on it. Then I'm going to click OK. And then I have a beautiful hanging indent. Okay, that is what your sources should always look like in your papers. They need to have that fancy indent. And then when you tab your paragraphs, the first line should come over here, but the rest of your paragraphs need to be lined up with that left margin. I know that sometimes as we go to put the hanging indent in, sometimes it'll mess up your paragraph alignment. So really pay attention to that. It is very important that these lines, the subsequent lines, are lined up to the left. That may sound like a really piddly thing to be worried about, but it is important, okay? Okay, so I've got my citation in there. So now what I need to do, I tab that first line and I start my summary paragraph. So here's where my summary paragraph goes. I want to make sure that I mention like my author by their full name the first time, maybe, that's not right, by their name the first time, maybe even like the full article name. The summary paragraph stays in third person. It is strictly a summary. That's all. I'm just going to tell the reader, who I am assuming has never ever watched the video, What Makes a Word Real. I'm going to tell them what the video was about. Okay. I'm going to try to hit the author's main points, or the presenter. And I'm not going to put any of my opinions in there. And I need to aim for 6 to 12 sentences. Okay. Once I'm done with that paragraph, I go to my second paragraph. And my second paragraph is what we call the evaluation paragraph, okay? I'm going to evaluate that video. I'm going to ask myself, how did the author or presenter do? Do they seem like they're a credible source, like they maybe know what they're talking about? And I would list, if I recall correctly, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch the video again for this semester. But Miss Eng Comp is actually, if I recall correctly, she is a professor. She has worked with dictionaries. You know, she's had quite a few years in that arena. So as a viewer, I'm going to look at her and go, she's probably pretty credible. And I'll mention, you know, she's a professor of this. She worked here, da 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 da. So to me, that makes her credible. I'm going to mention if there's any bias. I'm going to mention the type of tone. You know, I could talk about how Ms. Curzan had a fairly laid back tone, but it was a good tone. It made her sound approachable. Dean of English, thank you. One of you popped in. She was a Dean of English. I could mention how that approachable tone made what could potentially be a really boring topic interesting. Okay, that's what I could put in an evaluation paragraph. I'd mention if the author or presenter talks about any other supporting sources, like maybe they mention an author or a source or something. And in my evaluation paragraph, this is where I get to have my opinion. I can say, that was the worst, most boring video I've ever watched in my entire life. I hope I never have to watch it again. Okay. And then I would explain why I thought, like, don't just tell me it was boring. Why was it boring? What bored you? What did you hate? You know, all of those things. So you can enter your opinions in here. You can use first person if you want to. You know, I thought this is what I saw. But your opinion needs to be strictly on the source and the author, not on the topic. So if I was reading, let's see here. If I think of our homelessness article, okay? So if I was writing an evaluation paragraph on the homelessness article, I would talk about, you know, how the author went and actually spoke to individuals, you know, students who were current college students who were homeless, and how, I can't remember if it was he, she, they used that in the article to really humanize the topic. But I wouldn't give my opinion on homelessness in general. Okay, so the evaluation is about the source, not about the topic. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Okay. Question popped through here, and I will address that in a little bit. I have to look and double check. So for your first annotation, what you see on the screen is all you have to have, because we are just doing one annotation at a time. All right. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like as we continue to add. So when we write an annotated bibliography, you know, we have the three parts. We've got our source citation, summary paragraph, evaluation paragraph. Okay. When we are building an annotated bibliography, we look at the source citations, and then we alphabetize the sources. Okay. We alphabetize the annotations. So let me scroll down and kind of show you what the rest of the document looks like. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions on what I'm showing you? Give me some feedback. Push those little emotion buttons. Let me know how you're feeling. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs up. Oh, good. There was a smile. I was afraid somebody was going to give me the crying one. Okay. I will definitely post this in the annotated bibliography folder so you guys have access to this at home, okay? So as we continue to work and add to our annotated bibliography, the next set of sources, let me make sure I'm right. So the next set of sources are how talking about the coronavirus as an enemy combatant, and then we call workers essential. So for annotation number 2, I would choose between these two sources right here. So if I want to do we call workers essential, then there's my MLA citation. So I'd copy it, paste it in my paper, make sure it has the hanging indent, and then I would start all over again. Okay, make sure my citation is in there. I'd write my summary paragraph, aim for my 6 to 12 sentences. Then I would write my evaluation paragraph, aim for my 6 to 12 sentences. Okay. Then eventually I have to do one for the third set of sources. And these are the sources that we're going to discuss today. And so let's say I chose the Mr. Rogers article that I want to summarize and evaluate. Go ahead, copy my citation, paste it in there, and make sure it has the hanging indent, and then go again. Have my summary paragraph, have my evaluation paragraph, and then eventually you guys are going to read the last two sources. And so for your fourth annotation, you'll have to choose between one of these. And let's just say I want to do the Pinker article, so I'm going to copy the citation. Whoop. Put it in there, make sure it has its hanging indent, then have my summary paragraph and have my evaluation paragraph, okay? So that's just how an annotated bibliography works. And you will notice it's all double spaced, okay? Nice and clean, easy to look at. And you will also notice that my sources are in alphabetical order, right? C, J, K, and then P. Okay. So like I said, I will get this posted in the annotated bibliography folder so you guys have this. Do you guys have any questions on the general setup here for an annotated bibliography? You can either use the chat box or you can turn on your mic. It's up to you.
So for the rest of the year, for each one we do, we'll just add it into the same document then, like this?
Yes.
And then turn it, okay.
Yeah. And so what you'll do is, so there's like one hair in my face that keeps driving crazy. What you'll do is, obviously you'll post this in, let me go to that annotation folder. You'll notice that you've got 4 separate entry links, right? So, this one, obviously you're going to post here for the source 1 entry. So when you post the source 2 entry, you actually should have the 2 sources on the document, and then I'll just grade the second source. And then same for that, for your source 3, you go ahead, do the third source, and you just keep going. And then I will just, for each entry, I grade the specific source. Okay. Does that make sense? Let me know if you need me to clarify that at all. Okay. I always try to ask you guys if you have any questions because I've been dealing with these assignments for years. So that desensitizes me, I think, sometimes for what could possibly be confusing. Okay, I am going to answer a question in the chat box. Give me just a moment. Okay. I think what I'm going to do before I post that document in this folder, I am going to add just a few highlights in there just to kind of pull out some of that information, make it stand out, and then I'll get that. But I'll submit it before the end of class today, so you guys have it. Now, one of the questions was, I think in one of our classes we briefly discussed what's MLA, what's APA. MLA formatting is what's generally, it's just like it's like an all-around usage, okay? You can use it for almost everything. Now, if the document that you are writing is specifically like a medical document, a legal document, a really, really hardcore science document, you would end up using APA format. For what we are doing this semester, MLA works perfectly. However, if I do have some of you in here, depending on what your program is, if they are saying, no, we want you to become familiar with APA, I just need you guys to let me know that, and I will make sure that we cover both styles. But the types of documents that we're writing in this class can be easily taken care of with an MLA format, okay? So it's up to you. I let you guys choose. I always suggest MLA just because it tends to be a little more user-friendly. It's not as high maintenance with the way you have to use in-text citations and stuff, but it's completely up to you. If you do have an advisor for your program, I would encourage you to talk to that advisor and find out if they specifically want you to use MLA or APA, okay? Next, let me see, today's Wednesday, so we don't meet again until Monday. On Monday, we are really going to dive into proper formatting. We're going to really look at those details of MLA. We're going to really look at those details of APA, okay? So take the next few days, maybe shoot your advisor an email. Otherwise, I say fall back on MLA. It really is the most user-friendly, okay? All right. Any other questions? Are we all on the same page? I'm just trying to make sure we're all moving in the right direction. Okay. Give me a moment because I just want to double check. I heard some pinging, which usually means that somebody lost connection. So I'm just kind of checking my list here. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. Here is what I'm going to have you guys do. We're going to do things just a little bit differently today. And then I'll ask for your feedback later on to see what you liked. It's always good for me, especially since we're virtual, to see what you guys see, which technique you connect to better, that you learn from better, okay? All right, so let me take us to our discussion board, if I can get that loaded up. Whoops, okay. And then I'm just going to address a question in the chat box. Give me a second. Okay, so this was a really good question. Let's say you guys have, let's say you already submitted what you felt was your final draft for annotated bibliography 1. And then, like today, we're going to be going over the revision groups. I always encourage you guys to wait to submit a final draft until you've had that opportunity to participate in the revision group. But if by chance, you submit like your annotated bibliography or whatever, and you're like, oh shoot, I needed to change that. I will double check, but I am pretty sure that I have the assignment links for the annotated bibliographies set up to give you more than one submission. So if, well, because let me think, your final draft for that first annotated bibliography is due midnight next Monday. So, I mean, you have some time. So let's say I submitted my first annotated bibliography, but now we go through the revision group and I realize, oh man, I totally messed that up. I need to fix that. I totally forgot about that. I can fix it and then I can submit an updated draft. And then when I go to grade, I don't look at that first submission at all. I look at the second submission. Okay. So I try to give you a little bit of leeway that way. But as a general rule of thumb, I would wait until the revision groups before you submitted anything. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Okay. I didn't want to click on there. We're going to come to those later. I am going to scroll down. So if you guys aren't in, I don't know what devices you're on. So if you're not in Blackboard just yet, I want you to go into Blackboard. I want you to click on the discussion board. I'm going to take a drink of water really quickly. Excuse me. Okay, so once you get to the discussion board, I want you to scroll down. There's a lot of revision groups and stuff on here if you guys hadn't noticed already. Okay, I'm gonna keep going, All right, and I want you guys to head to the annotated bibliography source 1 revision group. Okay, here we go. Okay, here is what we are going to do. I'm going to give us a chunk of time here after I'm done explaining everything to provide some feedback. You guys are going to be, each other's revision group here. What I want everybody to do is on this discussion board, I want you to look at 2 of your classmates' drafts, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to look for those 3 main elements. Do you guys remember what the 3 things really that annotated bibliography needs to have? There's 2 different types of paragraph. What types of paragraphs do we need to have on our annotated bibliography? What's the first paragraph? See if you guys can remember. Summary. Very good. Okay. What's the second paragraph? Evaluation. Right. Okay. So just remember the 3 main components are this: our citation, which has to be at the top, our summary paragraph, and our evaluation paragraph. Okay. Those are the main things that I want you to look for right now. What I want you to keep in mind is that each paragraph needs to be at least 6 sentences. So let's say I'm reading my classmates' paper and maybe they only got, 3, 4 sentences and they need to build it up more. Try to give them some idea of how they can expand on what they've already said. Okay. So for this revision, I want you guys to look at 2 of your classmates' bibliographies. Now I'm going to click on Tatum since it's the first one up here. Okay, so what you'll have to do is you will have to, click on the document and open it up on your computer. Now, you don't have to be fancy and go through their document and make all these marks and, try to do the tracking. Not everybody knows how to do that in Word. All you really need to do is think of the 3 things. So I didn't look at her document, so I don't know. So citation is great. And then let's say that maybe the summary is a little short and we have to expand on it. So maybe I would say, whoops, I can't type. And then, the evaluation. Maybe I thought the evaluation was excellent. So I just want to say, I don't know, something along those lines. But basically what you're doing is you're trying to help your classmate out. You're looking for maybe any errors. Maybe you caught a grammar error, a punctuation error that they didn't catch. Look at the summary. Is it a good summary? Did they stay in third person? Okay, did they keep it objective? Remember, no opinions in the summary paragraph. As far as the evaluation, did they evaluate just the article, or did they start putting in some opinions about the topic at hand? Okay, remember, in the evaluation paragraph, you can have opinions, but they have to be about the source, not about the topic. Okay, so I really want you to take your time, go look at the annotation, and try to provide some feedback on at least those 3 parts. Now, I did show you kind of that example of what the paper should look like. So, maybe what I would do is go MLA formatting, review how to oops. Oh my gosh. I can type like 65 words a minute unless I'm teaching a class, and then I can't type at all. Okay. So look for the 3 things that the annotation is supposed to include, and then look at the overall formatting of the document and look for any maybe like grammar mechanic errors. Okay. Any questions on what you need to do to participate in a revision, in this revision group? And as always, feel free to put them in the chat box or turn on your mic, whatever is easy. Not everybody likes to type. Okay. The one thing I will ask of you guys, I'm going to cancel this out. I don't want to like hit submit and then have Tatum go back to it and go, that doesn't make any sense. Try to pay attention and make sure that everyone gets feedback. Okay. Because like if all of you just look at the same 3 classmates, then it doesn't benefit everybody. So try to make sure that everybody is getting some feedback, but do respond to 2 classmates. So the way that we're going to work this is, I'm going to have everybody kind of still stay in class in our virtual class, but I'm going to turn off my mic and I'm going to turn off my camera because I'm going to go through and look at your submissions as well. So I'll be leaving feedback as well. So we're going to take 25 minutes and we'll kind of go from there. If we need to add a little bit more time, we will. I'll check in about 25 minutes. I'll turn my mic on and ask you if you guys think you need more time to go over some of your classmates' documents, and we'll kind of judge from there what we need to do, okay? So everyone should be participating in this discussion board. Even I am going to participate in this discussion board, and that's what we need to be doing for the next 25 minutes. Don't sign out of class. We're still in class. I still want you here, but I want you to go to the discussion board and participate. So, any questions at all? Okay. Whoop. Okay, so 25 minutes. I'm going to turn on the mic, check in, see how you are doing, and then we will go from there, okay? I'm still in the classroom, so if you guys have any questions as you're going through the documents, you obviously can use the chat box. I'm right here. I will see it, okay? So go ahead, jump to the discussion board. Jump to the discussion board, start looking at those documents, do your best. You guys are not experts. I don't expect you to be experts, okay? So just kind of know that right away. You're not my expert editors. That's okay. We're just looking for some extra eyes. If you think they did a great job on everything, you tell them, you did a great job on everything. Good job. Okay. So they just need those extra eyes. Okay. I will check in with you in 25 minutes. Okay. So the whole point to this is um, obviously to get feedback. But, I've mentioned on more than one occasion, quite frequently, we miss our own mistakes. And usually the mistakes we miss are simple mistakes like, oh my gosh, why did we miss those? And, you all are kind of learning to do annotated bibliographies. We're just kind of taking it a step at a time. So what one of you may grasp right away, the other may not. And then what you may grasp, the other. So it's kind of nice to be able to use each other. So what I want you guys to do, not right now, but later on, actually throughout the rest of the week and then before we meet on Monday, is to look at the feedback and of course look at I don't have it uploaded yet because I was trying to help with some technical difficulties, but to refer back to the template, the example that I showed you at the beginning of class, to help you format and to help you figure out, oh man, what else can I add in this paragraph? So it'll get easier as we go on, because you'll notice if you look at our course schedule, we have quite a few discussion boards, that you guys do need to participate in. And I think you have, let me think here. So 3, I think you've got 5 more revision groups. Okay, because you'll do them for the rest of the annotated bibliographies. And then I believe you've got 2 or 3 essays that will then there'll be a little bit more, but it's going to be the same idea. You guys reading through, can you find any mistakes? Can you point out, oh my gosh, that worked so well in your paper? It's great for you guys to let your classmates know what is working in their writing, because I don't know about you, but I second guess myself a lot when I write. And so I could be looking at my paper and thinking, I need to take that out. That doesn't work well. And yet having a classmate look at it and they're saying, oh, that's perfect, keep it. So it's nice to have some validation in what you're doing and that you're doing it right. Okay. All right. Here's what I want to do, you guys. Let's go ahead. Let's take about a 12-minute break, and then we will kind of we'll switch on to the next thing. Okay, I'll double check with you, make sure you have any questions, but we will after break head into something else. Okay, so let's move away from that for a little bit. I had asked you guys to read the source 3 selections in our sources folder. Let's go into that because I want to talk together about these sources here really quickly. Now, of the 8 sources that you guys have to read for this class, there are 2 sources that are kind of rough. Okay, they're not a really happy-go-lucky, easy read. And you had one of those. This is just my opinion. You guys could be like, I don't even know what she's talking about. I liked them both. They were both awesome. For me, whoops, let me get to it. Of the source 3 selections, the ideological barriers to American Sign Language is a little bit of a dry read. I mean, give me a reaction. What do you guys think? Do you think you agree with me? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Did you just absolutely hate reading it? Let me know. What did you think? It's a little rough. So I will warn you, you have one more source. Obviously, one of your source 4 selections it's a little, like I said, it's like heavy. It's really heavy. don't get me wrong, the ideological barriers, it was, to me, it was really interesting because when I was in college, I actually took sign language. So it was because I had that background, I thought what they said was really, really interesting. But it was dry. It was really, really dry. So I just want to look over these two sources really quickly here together. Okay, I'm gonna open up the Reagan one. All right, so a lot of times when you get something like this, right away you go, "Oh my gosh, it's 33 pages." But look at this. If I can get all the way to the bottom, I have a mouse that for some reason has a mind of its own today. It thinks it's running the show, which I guess really it is. Okay, so it's 33 pages, but, and I actually do this, you know what, it might be my battery. Maybe I need to check that. When I open up a source that's really long like this, I actually go to the end right away. I'm like, is it really 33 pages of writing? So the 33rd page is a blank page. 32nd page is actually an abstract. And sometimes abstracts can be helpful if because it's almost like a summary of what you're about to read. It does hit the high points, the main points. So if you ever have to read something that's very difficult, try to at least get through the abstract and see if you can figure out what the main points are that are listed in the abstract. Sometimes that can help you get through the rest of it, okay? Now, this is what I want to show you. Okay. So, and I'm working backwards, obviously. Let's look at how many pages of sources, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a quarter. So 7 and a quarter of the pages that are listed here are sources. Holy cow, right? So before I even read it, I'll look at it and go, okay, I just want to scan the sources just to see what kind of sources my author is using and like where she's getting it from, what the writers look like. So this one is a university press, the actual American Council on Teaching of Foreign Languages. That's probably, another academic press. So I just kind of go through and I look at all those. So just even looking at the sources that our author has used here, they look like they're pretty credible sources. So that's always good to know, because at least if I can't think of anything else to write in the evaluation, I can talk about how many pages of sources there were, that the sources looked credible, things like that. So it's all about thinking outside the box when we have to take care of our annotated bibliographies. So 7 and a quarter pages of sources. Okay, crazy. So let me just walk you through a few things that I do when it's a source that maybe I don't understand, that it's hard to read, or it's just a pain to read. So I skim. I'm a skimmer. I like to skim. And I always look for stuff that is in italics, because usually it's a quote or, something that they're trying to point out. I always look for these indented type paragraphs, because usually it's a quote by somebody else, which it is, okay? I also skim. I see, here's my printed copy. I don't know if you can tell I have my highlights. I'm serious, you guys. I love to read. I'll read ebooks for days, but if it's something academically, like I need to learn from it, I need to get something from it, I print it off. And I don't know if you guys have access to, like, you're able to get to the campus at all, but in your student fees, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't talk today either. You actually have a printing budget. So, it's nice. Use your printing budget. I do. I need a hard copy. So like I said, I skim. And honestly, this is the first thing that I noticed when I skimmed through. Let's just look at this line really quickly. Most of us have learned many things about language from others, but generally the wrong things. Okay, we learn a lot of language from everybody that we're with. We talked about discourse communities. Um, and I know when I was looking, pretty sure it was from this class, could be from another class. Quite a few of you mentioned terminology that you use in your discourse communities, like in one discourse community that you wouldn't use in another discourse community. So, it's not that that term is wrong, but it doesn't necessarily translate into another group. So, kind of think about that. Uh, there's a lot of terminology. Um, I'm from Arizona. Okay, I came here, and it's been hilarious to watch my kids grow up and to listen to what I consider a Wisconsin accent. My oldest, actually, believe it or not, went to college in Arizona and met her now husband. So she lives in Arizona. And the things that I always would tease her for, her pronunciation or what she would do with language. So maybe it's not you, and I'm not insulting anyone, okay? Uh, Out west in Arizona, we say words like our pronunciation is bag, tag, things like that. But my oldest in particular, it was really, really strong with her. She says beg and teg, things along those lines. So there are always words that I would try to help her with her pronunciation, but it never stuck because it was just so ingrained in what she picked up as a child. And so I don't want to say that it's wrong, but it's definitely different, isn't it? So, really think about that statement. Many of us have learned many things about language from others, but generally the wrong things. And if not wrong, possibly very different than what somebody else may think of that word. Can you think of any words that in the past, let's say 10 years, that all of a sudden, what I call nonsense words, words that were never words that are words now? Can you think of words that exist now that didn't exist 10 years ago? Use the chat box or turn on your mic. Words that maybe didn't exist 10, maybe even 20 years ago. Let's add 20 years in there. 10 or 20 years ago.
Can it be a word that like people say that's not actually a word?
Yes, absolutely.
Funner. When everyone says funner, that irritates me so bad.
You're right. I hear that quite frequently. I'm trying to think. I hear quite a few phrases that I think it's strictly a Wisconsin thing, but really those individuals that are an older generation of Wisconsinite. We have a really good friend of the family who always adds "and so" on the end of everything. When my oldest was a baby, I'll never forget. She was holding her and she was talking to her and she goes, "Oh, you're so pretty and so." Everything was "and so," and I've only ever heard that out here in this region. Funner. Google has a noun. Sorry, I'm laughing at your comments again. Um, I can't remember if let me see. Ooh, that's a good one. Washroom is not really used any longer, right? Um, I have a friend who is from England who uses the term lavatory or water closet, which it wouldn't apply here. Um, she also was talking about after we had gone shopping, she wanted to put her shopping bags in my boot. And I thought, your shopping bag, I'm not wearing boots, and your shopping bags wouldn't fit in my boots anyway. What are you talking about? In England, the boot is the trunk of a car. So It's not that that word is wrong, but it was wrong for here. I hope that makes sense. Okay, another one, difference between soda and pop. What do you guys say? Do you say soda? Do you say pop? Do you say soda pop? What do you say? Okay, soda both. Ooh, some buggy instead of shopping car. Okay. So when you're thinking kitty corner, I actually use kitty corner a lot. I do. Maybe that's my thing. I think I've mentioned in this class, like the word unfriended. That's totally a made up word, but it's one that we use now because of the evolution of language. So when we look at this statement in this article, I don't want you to get stuck too much on them being generally the wrong things, but maybe that they are the wrong things for the area that we're in. Okay, like they don't apply to where we're at. So, we can take that comment in a couple different ways. Okay. Now, when I am reading through a really difficult article, I actually look for like cue lines, and here is one right here. Do do do. Like the writer is literally telling us in this article, the debate about the status of ASL is addressed as an example of ideological beliefs that impact linguistic judgments and policies. So our author is telling us right here, hey guys, psst, this is what I'm writing about. So kind of look for that. And then he even goes further and he tells us what he's going to argue about. All right. So these are the things that you can kind of try to pick up. We're going to do some, going to have you guys do some Googling. Okay. So be prepared. I want you guys to Google the term ideology. Okay. So Google it and then copy and paste whatever you find in the chat box. Let's see what kind of definitions you guys come up with. Ideology. I'm going to zoom this. How many meanings are there to ideology? Yeah, I think I rumble over that one all the time. Okay, let's see here. If you're pasting, keep pasting. I'm just looking at everybody's that's coming in here. Cool, cool. I like that one too. Okay, I'm just in case any more of you are pasting in there, I want to give you the chance to do it. Okay. All right. Let's compare these. Trying to get my screen here. Okay. Okay, and some of them are, I'm getting ideology as a set of shared beliefs within a group. It could be like a nation, a social class, a body of beliefs that influences the way like we think, or even the way we view the world. Okay, a system of ideas and ideals. Let's see here. Ooh, ideas and ideals, especially one which forms the basis of economic or political theory and policy. That's a good one. Okay, a couple of you got that one. Oh, this one's interesting. Visionary speculation, especially of an unrealistic or idealistic nature. Interesting. So, the reason that I had you guys look at that, okay, what is the title of this paper? Ideological barriers to American Sign Language. So we should probably have an idea of what ideology is, okay? And if you'll notice, as I was kind of talking through them, most of you got that an ideology is a set of shared beliefs within a group, okay? And those beliefs influence the way we think, the way we act, and the way we view something. Okay? So our author goes on to talk about like a language ideology. Okay? So a set of shared beliefs that we have about language. All right. Okay. Well, so now we can kind of maybe start to piece some things together. Okay. Now, remember what I told you? I always like to read these little paragraphs. Here's the deal. I was reading this one for the first time and I came across this word. I still don't know if I'm saying it correctly. I should probably like go to Google Translate or something, but inchoate. Inchoate. Go to Google. Let's figure out what this word means. I know now, but I didn't originally. I had to go look for it. So inchoate, what does it mean? What on earth would that have to do with language ideologies? Okay, let's go figure it out. Paste it when you guys find a definition. Inchoate. Like I said, I don't know if I'm saying it right. I like the way I say it, but I don't know if I'm saying it right. Okay. All right. I'm going to get a couple more definitions in here and we'll compare what you found. Ooh, quite a few came in here that are great. All right. Before I look at the definition, let's look at this quote really quickly. Okay. And if you're still pasting, please still paste. So, we're talking about ideological barriers to sign language. So, our set of beliefs about language and sign language. And this paragraph specifically is talking about language ideologies, so language beliefs that we have. So if we change that and say language beliefs have both personal and societal valence, for any user of language, it would be impossible not to have some value set of language, however inchoate. So now let's look at your definitions that you found, okay? So you guys, let me see. Inchoate could be just begun or not so fully formed or developed, rudimentary. Let me see, quite a few of you found that one. It could be anticipating or preparatory to a further criminal act. Ooh. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. So it's either something that's not fully formed or something that is kind of like anticipating or preparatory to a criminal act. Okay. So we can either read this word as something that's not quite developed yet, or something that maybe might lead to a criminal act. Okay. So that's how I go through. I go through and I pick out those words that I don't understand. I look for bulleted lists. I look for numbered lists. Our author looks at a source from Ruiz, and lists that there are some views here. Language as a problem, language as a right, language as a resource. And the reason that caught my mind is because of the repetition. Language as a, language as a, language as a. Okay. That is how I dissect a source. All right. Thought there was a couple more words I was going to have you look, but maybe not. Yeah, I just have lots of underlines. I thought I had... I do have one more term I want you guys to look up. You guys didn't know this was spelling class, did you? Okay. Oh boy, we gotta fast forward some pages here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right, so here's another word, and it caught my eye because it was in italics. So this word is alingual. Alingual. Go Google it. Tell me what you find. What on earth is alingual? Okay, good. I'm seeing them come through here. I know the definition that I have down, so I was curious if you guys find any other definitions. Alingual. Okay, it looks like you guys are all finding the same definition. And it's the same definition that I found too. Okay. Yep. So the definition that I have written down on my paper, making sure, yep, every single one of you found the right definition or the same definition. So good, we're on the same page. So alingual means that you're not fluent in any language. So now knowing that alingual means not fluent in any language, let's kind of look at the sentence that it is in, okay? So we're talking about sign language, talking about being deaf, talking about like native tongue or a mother tongue. And it says prior to either the acquisition of natural sign language, such as ASL, or extensive intervention in terms of the deliberate teaching and speaking and speaking and speech reading skills in a spoken language, these children are arguably, in some sense, alingual. So we're talking about that point in life where children actually are not fluent in any language. Okay, so by looking up these words, it helps to make sense of what some of these lines are, okay? All right, we're not going to beat this one to death anymore. Did anybody have any questions on this source? I know the general consensus was, hey, we didn't like this one, but do you have any questions on it? Okay. All right. Let's look at we call workers essential. Now, I think I had asked you guys on Monday when we had just looked at this source really quickly. That's right, isn't it? That is the... Oh, nope. That's why that didn't make sense. Okay, that's source 2. Sorry. Mr. Rogers. This is probably one of my all-time favorite sources that you guys have to read. What did you guys think of this source? Give me some reactions or in the chat box or something. Let me know. What did you think of this one? How many of you knew who Mr. Rogers was before you even read this? Oh my goodness. I'm getting some of you that said you've never heard of this show before. Wow. You know how to make someone feel old. Okay. So, when I was growing up on PBS, there was the show called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and it was an amazing show. An amazing show. And probably the reason that I love this article so much, one is because I have a connection to the Mr. Rogers show. Okay, so keep, back when PBS was good, that's funny, that's true. Keep in mind as you guys are reading some of these sources, so like last week when you guys had to read We Call Workers Essential, and we talked about how some of you were classified as essential workers. So you have background experience in the topic that you're about to read, and it does color the way you read something. Okay, so me reading the Mr. Rogers article, I'm super excited about it because I love Mr. Rogers. But some of you who have no idea who Mr. Rogers is, you could maybe read it and think, oh yeah, that's kind of cool, but it doesn't mean as much to you. So we always need to be aware of how our prior experience and prior knowledge affects the way that we digest information. So I'll keep that in mind, okay? So yeah, this one I think was a nice, easy read. I really enjoyed learning about Mr. Rogers. Let me form a question here for you guys. Why did Mr. Rogers find it so important to use the specific language for children? Turn on your mic, use the chat box. Why do you feel like that was so important to him? Okay, that's a good answer. Kids take stuff literally, don't they? Anything else? Why else would he almost make it like his life's mission to make sure that he could communicate with children accurately, where is the, oh, here's the line right there. He insisted that every word, whether spoken by a person or a puppet, be scrutinized closely because he knew that children, the preschool age boys and girls who made up the core of his audience, tend to hear things literally. Okay, they absolutely do. So not only did he know that, he made things specific to children. So the people that worked on his show actually termed his language that he used, they called it something specific. Do you remember what they called the language that he used? Use the chat box or the mic to tell me. And if you have the source open, you can scroll through it. They called the language that he used, they called it something specific. I'll give you a hint. It's based off, there we go. Someone said it, Freddish. His name is Mr. Fred Rogers, so they call the language that he used Freddish, which is nothing I ever heard about. Yeah. There were no accidents on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He took great pains to not mislead or confuse children, and his team of writers joked that his on-air matter of speaking amounted to a distinct language they called Freddish. Okay? Let's see here. Love the urban legends from previous I thought. Sorry. Okay. And then, the author goes on to talk about how, the writers would write something and, with the blood pressure cuff about how I'm going to blow this up. And he's like, no, we can't use that because we don't want kids thinking that we're going to try to blow up body parts, right? And how they make reference to the song. He always had a song that he would sing at the end of each show. But his show was usually a Monday through Friday type show. So he felt it was important to make sure it was clear that, hey, I'm not going to come back tomorrow because tomorrow's Saturday. I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be back here until Monday. So, it obviously was very, very important to him. So let's just evaluate this source just a little bit. So we know our author is Maxwell King. Okay. I'm trying to think. Whoops, I went too far. So at the bottom of this article, it tells us a little bit about Maxwell King. So let's figure out why we should listen to what Maxwell King has to say about Mr. Rogers. Okay. So first off, this article is adapted from Maxwell King's forthcoming book, The Good Neighbor, The Life and Work of Fred Rogers. Maxwell King is the CEO of the Pittsburgh Foundation and the former director of the Fred Rogers Center. He is the author of the forthcoming book, The Good Neighbor, The Life and Work of Fred Rogers. So, your opinion, do you feel that Maxwell King is qualified to write this article? Your opinion. It's not a right or wrong answer, it's your opinion. I'm just curious what you think. Want an opinion from everybody. Do you think Maxwell King is qualified to write this? Okay. Looks like the general consensus is yes. So those are the things that I really want you guys to kind of pick up as you're looking, because you'll end up having to write an annotated bibliography for one of these sources. You'll need to choose one, and you'll need to know how to summarize and pull those main points out, and then you're going to need to remember what you need to look at to evaluate the source as well, okay? Any questions on the Mr. Rogers article at all? Oh, I like that. So I'm reading the chat box. Oh my gosh, one of your classmates actually remembers the song. I don't even remember the song, and I used to watch it all the time. It's not homework or anything, but I really encourage you guys. You can probably go on YouTube and find Mr. Rogers clips, but it would be interesting, I think, for those of you who have never watched the show, to go look for clips. My favorite parts of the show were when he would come in. As soon as he walked in his house, he had to change his shoes, right? I think he changed his sweater too when he would walk in. I loved the railroad. I loved the puppets. Okay. All of those things, they just were great. So yeah. Okay. I've never seen, that's why I was gonna ask. There's a movie out with Tom Hanks. I was gonna ask if anybody had seen it. Um, and I'm hearing it's pretty good. I'll have to watch it. Okay. That's all I'm going to do with our sources for today. I was going to have us take to the discussion board, but because the ideological I can never say that right, barriers is such a hard one, I felt like we needed to kind of pick it apart together. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I just want to go over one more thing with you guys, and it has to deal with. Let me take us to. Learning plans and sources, okay? Let's go to learning plan 1. All right. So at the very bottom of learning plan 1, it talks about punctuation. So part of your homework for when we meet or before we meet on Monday is a discussion board about punctuation. Punctuation matters, right? I have so much material we could talk about with punctuation. That's a little bit where my grammar nerd pops in. But what I want to do is I want to show you this video. It's a 5-minute video. It's a fun video, so you don't worry about having to pick up or take notes or anything. But what I hope this video does is put punctuation in the forefront of your mind and make you realize what role it plays in your sentences. Okay, it was kind of vague, but let's watch this video. This video is, as you can tell, like from the 80s, I think. Is a comedian, a musical comedian by the name of Victor Borge. Anybody familiar with him at all? I'm going to type his name in the chat box. That's how you spell his name. He was actually one of my mom's favorites. That's why I know he exists. That's the only reason I know he exists. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. If the volume or the video goes wonky for you at all, let me know in the chat box, okay? So pay attention to how the role that punctuation plays in a sentence and how Mr. Borge presents that, okay?
Going to do a routine. The ones of you who have heard it before may enjoy hearing it again. And the ones of you who have not heard it before may enjoy hearing it again.
Oops, sorry.
Speaking of the phonetic punctuation, well, I invented it many years ago when I first noticed that people who speak together often fail to understand each other clearly. Now, when we read or write, we use punctuation marks in order to underline the meaning of our sentences, but we do not have that support when we speak. So why not integrate punctuation marks into our speech? Then we can underline what we intend to convey to each other verbally. What the hell was all that topic? I always get involved in all these speeches and things like that. And it takes a lot of it. I'll afford me to get and then of course that is it was right. I'll teach you how to use the system. It's very simple. A period sounds like this. That was a bad one. That was a much better one. A dash. An exclamation point is a vertical dash with a period underneath. See? The comma. Quotation are 2 commas. Or if you happen to be left-handed. Question mark is a little difficult. And finally, the colon, the 2 little dots, you can put them over each other, or you can put them under each other, or you can put them wherever you want to put them. That's it. A short story right here in the beginning of the book. Coming up. Page 9. Page 6. In the open window there suddenly came light. Beautiful Elinor sat alone dreaming of but one thing. Two years had passed since she met Sir Henry. She could still remember the unhappy evening when her father had thrown him out. They had been sitting in the park, and Henry had said, "Darling, is this the first time you have loved?" She had answered, "Yes." But it is so wonderful that I hope it shall not be the last. Getting a little messy here, but otherwise. Would you like to move back one row? Suddenly she heard a well-known sound. It was he. In two strides he was near her, embraced her, kissed and caressed her. What is love? She asked. He answered, "Well, I couldn't live without it." She asked, I'm sorry. He was a little left-handed. "Where have your thoughts been?" And he answered, "With thee, my maiden." Suddenly he had gone. All she heard was the well-known sound of his departing horse.
Okay. Show me what you guys thought about that. Let me know. Let me know what you thought. Give me some reactions. All right. I mean, obviously there is no, oh, you couldn't hear anything. Oh no. His accent is very, 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 very thick. And obviously the closed captioning only caught probably half of what he said. But the idea is phonetic punctuation. It doesn't really exist. But if we paid that close of attention when we were speaking, I think we would be more aware of proper punctuation. Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry it didn't come through for you guys very well. Darn it. All right. Let me show you what you're going to be asked to do with a punctuation discussion board. Okay. We're gonna do something with it, and then I'm gonna let you. Sorry. Then I'm gonna let you guys get to some work. So on the discussion board, I'm actually going ignore. You're gonna see two discussions at the top. See how there's like a 4-6, in class source 3 discussion, both for Mr. Rogers and the ideological barriers. Don't worry about it. We verbally did it today with me asking you questions and having you guys look at it. So we're not going to do a discussion board for that. Okay. So don't worry about them. I'll go and hide them later so you don't have to panic. But scroll down. Here's our fragments, our run-ons, and then there is punctuation. So you guys are going to be asked to do a punctuation discussion board. There is this great source right here that we're going to look at in a second. This is the punctuation guide. It has all the different types of punctuation. It has the rules. So if there's any punctuation you're confused about, this is an excellent source. Like when do I use a comma? When is it okay for a semicolon? Do I have to use a colon? Go look there, okay? For this discussion board, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to write me a story, okay? Any story. It could be a silly story, it could be a scary story, whatever you want it to. It only has to be about 6 to 12 sentences long, okay? And you need to use at least 4 types of punctuation, okay? So like I have an example in here. It was a perfect day for fishing, comma, no rain and cool with a brightly dash hyphen shining sun, period. I had come prepared, comma, or at least I thought so, period. My fishing rod, and then in parentheses, just bought for a ridiculous sum, had not made the trip, period. I had a backup plan though, colon, a stick, comma, some fishing line, comma, and a makeshift bobber, period. I, comma, the quote unquote fish terminator was back in business, exclamation point. Be warned, comma, ye fishes, exclamation point. Okay, so there's quite a few pieces of punctuation in there. You don't have to use that many, but you need to use at least four different ones, and you need to make sure you use them correctly. So in order to kind of help make sure you know how to use them correctly, here is what I am going to do. All right, I'm going to go take us back into our learning plan again. So learning plan 1, scrolling back to the bottom. I'm going to put you guys just to a little bit of work, just kind of a quick activity here. On your computer, I would love if you could open the punctuation guide in a new tab, because I want you to be able to get over here, okay? So this is the punctuation guide. This is the link that was actually over there on the discussion board, okay? Notice there is a load of punctuation, all right? And you can click on whichever one you want, and it gives you all the different types of rules, okay? There's a ton of them. Here is what I want you to do. I'm going to have you guys, we're going to take like 10 minutes here. I want you to go and look at, don't do anything yet. You're going to look at 2 pieces of punctuation that you feel you struggle with, like maybe you're really unsure about. I want you to click on it, find one thing that you learned about that specific part of, or that specific piece of punctuation. Here's what you're going to do with it. Have you guys ever used Mentimeter before? Tell me in the chat box, is this something you're familiar with? Okay, and it's okay if you're not. What you're gonna do is, my pen is breaking on me. You're gonna end up clicking on, oops, did it give the wrong? When it works correctly, you can click on this. Okay, give me a second. We are having technical difficulties here. Why is that not working? Okay, copy link. Dun, dun, dun. That is the link that's there, so I don't know why, but let me edit it and change it. Submit. See if it will open up correctly. Why is that not working? Okay, so what you need to do is, okay, that's what you have to do. All right, I know I'm actually talking to myself, don't worry. I haven't lost it yet, but okay. So what I'm going to have you guys do is you'll you'll end up going to mentimeter.com. After you've looked at, oh shoot, I just clicked out of it. After you look at those 2 pieces of punctuation, I clicked out of it after I got it all set for you guys. After you figure out 2 pieces of punctuation that you're not super comfortable with, I want you to go look at the punctuation guide page, find one thing about 2 pieces of punctuation that you just learned. What you'll do is, once you get that information, you'll go to, oh, excuse me, I typed it wrong, menti.com, and you'll type in this code, and it will let you type in your information. Okay? Does that make sense? It's just a little activity, just something different instead of like, breaking you into groups and making you type on discussion boards. So does it make sense what I'm asking you to do? Okay. So if it was me, this is what I would end up doing. I would go, oh, you know what? I really don't understand how to use a colon. So I'd click on the colon and I would go, oh, okay. A colon is used to introduce a list of items. And because I'm lazy, I'd probably copy and paste it. Then I would go to menti.com, okay, and type in this code right here. I will have this up on the screen so you guys can see it. I'm going to submit. And here, yeah, it is open road. You know what? Maybe we're not going to do this because this is causing too many technical difficulties. All right. So we're going to simplify this, friends. I want you guys to go to the punctuation guide, the link that was right here. And I want you to look at 2 different pieces of punctuation. So I chose the colon. I would come in the chat box and go, the colon is used to introduce lists. And then I would send it. You can either send it to everyone or you can send it to me and then I'm going to compile them. So after I did the colon, then I would maybe go, what the heck is a hyphen? How do I use a hyphen? And I would go, let's see here. Hyphen is used for word division. Okay, so then I'd come back to the chat box here. Okay, so that's all I want you guys to do. Forget the whole Mentimeter. It's not working. It's not working. Okay, so take a few minutes here. I'm going to monitor the chat box. I want you guys, you should have 2 things that you send me, 2 different pieces of punctuation facts that you send me, and I'm going to compile them. Okay, so go ahead and do that. If you're getting stuck and you're still not sure what to do, let me know. But post whatever facts you find in the chat box, either to everyone or just to me, okay? Some of you are super fast. They're already coming in, so I'm going to be quiet and let you work. Okay, you guys found some good ones here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this and put this in Learning Plan 1 so you guys can kind of go back to some of the rules that you looked up. But, you know, if all else fails, you want to go to the punctuation guide, okay? All right. Let me pull up, let's see here if I can find the right document. I have lots of documents open, which I do quite frequently. I need to fix that one for you. Nope. Hang on. Got my template, which I need to upload for you guys. I need to upload your rules. Okay. Okay. So let me come back here. So let me just go over what you guys need to know for next time. And then that way I can turn time over to you to work. Okay, so today is the 7th. Hopefully you guys submitted that annotation, that annotated bibliography source 1 first draft to the revision group. If you did not, I still want you to get that loaded up there, because remember, I still will give everybody feedback. And even if you didn't have a draft on there, you still have to respond to 2 classmates. And you need to respond to those 2 classmates by midnight tonight if you didn't already do it in class. I think everybody that was here in class actually was able to get to 2 classmates' posts, okay? So that is what's due tonight. Just those responses to the annotated bibliography source 1 revision group. Now, before we meet on Monday, I need you guys to do that punctuation discussion board post. Do you guys have any questions on what I was asking you to do for that punctuation discussion board post? Write me a story, 6 to 12 sentences, using 4 different types of punctuation and making sure you use them correctly, okay? And remember that you can look at the punctuation guide if you're stumped and you maybe want to use a colon, but you're not sure if you're using it right. So use that as a resource, okay? And that is due before we meet on Monday, okay? The other thing that you need to do is journal entry number 3. So let's go take a look at journal entry number 3 and see what you have to do with it, okay? So let's go to our journal entries. Number 3. Number 3 is about academic writing style, okay? So remember how I said that when we meet on Monday, we're really going to be talking about MLA and APA formatting, okay? Here's what I want you to do, because I don't expect you guys to be experts. So the first part of this journal is it's actually just looking for a website that that discusses academic writing style, okay? So let's just do that really quick. Let's look for academic. I can spell. Oh, I promise I can spell. I promise I can. Okay. It's going to load up a whole bunch of them. So I'm just going to scroll and go, let's see. Berkeley's always a good idea, right? They're smart people, and there's 9 basic ways. So I'm going to look at that and go, this is a good website. Okay, so that was the first part that I have to do for my journal entry. What I need to do is cite the website or source I found, and I need to do it in MLA or APA. Remember what I said? I mean, I suggest MLA if you want to, because I don't expect you guys to know how to build a citation. I want you to use a citation generator like EasyBib or nightcite.com, okay? So let's go to nightcite.com. Okay. Oh, wait. No, that's not the one that I want to do. I want to do EasyBib. What am I talking about? I like EasyBib. It's actually my preference. I think it's easier because watch, all you have to do is this. Create citations. Okay. I want to cite a website. So all I have to do is click website. All I have to do is come back over here and I have to copy the website address up here. So remember, Control C, and then I'll come back here and I'll do Control V, and I'll tell EasyBib to go search for it. And look, it found it. 9 basic ways right there. So I want to cite that. And it's telling me, hey, we found this information, and you continue. And you can kind of look here. So it didn't find an author's name. So I need to just go and look really quickly and see if I can find an author. There isn't always an author listed. Oh, look right here. Amber Carini is her name. So her first name is, whoops, it also helps to be in the right box. Amber Carini. Okay. It's always important. If you can find the name, please get it. And let's see if there was a publishing date. It just had 2002. So we don't have like a month, but we have a year. So let's put the year in. 2002. Okay. Now I'm going to tell it to complete citation. EasyBib is nice because it's free, but it usually asks you to watch like a video, like an ad. So we just really quickly go view a sponsored message. I usually let it just kind of play, let it do its thing. Okay. So keep in mind, EasyBib is nice because it gathers a lot of information, but it does sometimes miss bits and pieces. So kind of look at the blank spots and go back to your website that you're looking at and make sure, you know, like we found the author's name and it didn't. So make sure you're looking at MLA 8 or APA 7. Because I like MLA, I'm going to use MLA 8. And this is my citation. So I'd copy my citation. Okay. I'd come into Word. New document. I'm cheating, just so you know. And right away, I'm just going to go ahead and paste that citation in there so I don't lose it, okay? Now let's go back to the rest of what the journal entry wants us to do. Okay, so we got our citation all set and ready. Now, the third step is to summarize the main features on that website. You're going to aim for at least 2 paragraphs and discuss issues like type of language, tone, maybe there's like do's and don'ts, just things like that. But shoot for 2 paragraphs, and we want that academic tone, okay? And I know it just says paragraph your comments based on your topic. So basically organize it. So if you're going to have a paragraph of do's and don'ts, just keep your do's and don'ts in that paragraph. And then in another paragraph, maybe you would talk about good steps to follow. Okay. So I would go back to my source. I would read the 9 ways, and then I would summarize what I read, and I would write it in 2 paragraphs. Okay. So journal entry 3, find a website that discusses academic writing style. Go and create a citation from it. Use EasyBib or NightSite. EasyBib's a little bit easier. NightSite makes you punch in all of the stuff by yourself. Then go ahead and write a 2-paragraph summary on what you read, and then submit it. Okay? And your summary, let's pretend these are long lines and paragraphs, okay? You can go ahead and type your paragraphs in here. And if we are using MLA, we would say works cited, and we would center it, okay? And what is my space supposed to be? Do you guys remember? Am I supposed to be double spaced or single spaced? Tell me in the chat box. My document's supposed to be double or single? Double space. Okay, very good, very good. So you can always right click, unless my mouse died on me. Okay, can always right click, go to paragraph, tell it to double space. I always say 0 before and 0 after. And then look, I have awesome double spaced paper with my works cited entry right there. Okay, so that's what you need to do for your journal entry number 3. Do you guys have any questions on that? Okay, so for tonight, make sure that you've responded to 2 people on the revision group discussion board for the source one. And make sure you have your original post submitted if you did not do that already. By the time we meet on Monday, make sure you have your punctuation discussion board post done, and make sure you complete journal entry number 3. Looking ahead, in class, we will work on the punctuation discussion board, so try not to panic about that too much. What I do want you to continue to work on is your source 1 annotated bibliography, that final draft. So remember to go back to the discussion board, look at the feedback that you got. I'm going to finish giving everybody feedback, so you'll have that. But by midnight on Monday, you'll need to submit your final draft of your annotated bibliography, okay? Are there any questions at all? Okay, sorry, I'm just seeing some of the questions here. Okay. If you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to let you sign out and work. Be sure to let me know if you're confused about everything. Give me till the rest of tonight. Give me by tonight to get feedback on everybody's annotated bibliography first draft. Okay, but I'll make sure that you guys everybody has feedback. I will upload my annotated bibliography template to the annotated bibliography assignment folder, so that way you guys have that at home you can look at. And I'll put your punctuation in the learning plan 1, all those punctuation things that you learned. So if there are no questions, you guys are free to go to work and have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. I will remain here until, the end of class time, just in case you guys have questions, okay? So, have a great weekend. Go get to work. Let me know if you have any questions.